process and struggle. But design is always the great reflector of the state of our society. ASID created the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee in 2020, and around the time of George Floyd and Black Lives Matter movement. Since then, we've experienced progress in representation.
Our story's not that special. I was lucky enough to live in a neighborhood in Queens that was diverse. There were 2, 3 white families. Here's what form it's going to take, but we're going to do something. And by June 2021, Equity Council was officially born, and I and my 3 co-founders decided, all right, now we're going to put together programming. Oh boy, what is that going to look like?
In that way, so she has to navigate as a Black girl. And she found out that she was Black in kindergarten because no one wanted to play with her. And, you know, I took her out of our environment. I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey.
Reached out to Elise on LinkedIn and I was like, hey, you don't know me, but I only want to bring people of color to speak to my students. Could you come and be a guest lecturer? And she immediately said yes. So when I hear this challenge of like, oh, we can't find designers of color, yes you can. You're just not really trying, right? Literally on LinkedIn, I cold called this woman. So again, reach out to your resources. You are reinforcing a mindset of scarcity. Oh, I'm a firm, our fees are low. We gotta get the next project. We're constantly lowering our fees. You are operating from a mindset of scarcity. Cash flow. Getting value of decoration and adornment, the way we demonized it. And during COVID, what was the thing that brought you comfort in your home? Softness, cozy, touch. But yet I see these sterile, stark spaces with sleek wood, a mid-tone wood and a spiral white colorful thing. I didn't see it. We are stripping out color from these spaces. Color is culture.
Their reference points, their point of view, and yeah, sometimes, as Key is saying, somebody would say, stop that, that's crap, sorry, you know.
667 Madison Avenue, New York. For those of you who are not familiar with this site, it is a block away from Central Park, surrounded by trees where artists foster themselves and the city where artists can collaborate with each other.
And I want to do that for animation. And the main focus was to have this idea of inclusivity and use the power of design to bring the community together. So to start with, what I wanted to show in my design was a timeline of the history of animation.
Are immigrants, and they are both physicians, or my dad's a physician, my mom is a dentist, and they were, I would say, terrified of me going into design because they did not see that as a sustainable path. I think that they would still like me to go to med school. They quite admit they don't quite understand what I do, but you know, it is what it is. I just ignore that part.
In the room from my work in color and trend for our industry. But one of the things that's really important to me as I do that work around the world, and yes, it's 58 countries and I'm in negotiations for my 59th. I may be going to Kathmandu in the fall. So I'm really excited.
And inclusion, and it's been outrageously amazing because the opportunity there not only exists for people of color coming to the market, but for the market itself. The manufacturers can now understand and take advantage of the buying power of the people of color coming to market.
If you see anyone wearing an orange bracelet, the Diversity Advocacy Alliance It's something fairly new at High Point as a whole, showcasing.
I'm going to share what my experiences have been around being in the industry, being an immigrant to this country, coming to New York, becoming an interior designer, advocating for design, and really participating with the school that made me who I am today, ASID. And if you remember ASID, Jeannie Burchett, who passed away recently, she was my mentor. This is a very open and welcoming industry, and just as many people have said before me, we are so fortunate to be an industry where people look to lift you up, people look to help you, and even if you're the only one in the room, because you don't want to be put in a position where you become the mouthpiece for your client. I see some nodding heads, they know what's coming. You're told, find out what all of our people would like, but they're not